So you all know it already, and I'm just going to help you get back from the grounds of your subconscious, get back what negotiation is all about. And then I thought, because we are talking here with the global shapers, and you will all have some very inspiring goals. And so maybe your goal will be not to just know how to negotiate, but to be a very good negotiator. So, or to be an excellent negotiator. So we will also talk about how professionals really do it in negotiation. So it's a bit like communication. So everybody does it, and just a few do it really well. But we talk about that later, what the kind of ingredients are about that. Okay? Great. So our workshop today is, as Lizzie said, we will just start doing it. So in a minute, we will divide you up into breakout rooms, and you will be negotiating something, because we can just talk about different concepts, but I'm not that interested in that. I really want you to get out of this course and really tell whoever is with you or a friend, yesterday I negotiated, so we're not going to talk about it. We are going to do it. You'll have a little time to reflect on that. Then we will talk about negotiation under stress, because a lot of people say, okay, I understand the concept of negotiation, but actually it doesn't really help me when I am in a negotiation, because when I'm in a negotiation where really things are at stake, I get really nervous, or I give in too early, or the other person really feels that I'm afraid that I'm not getting what I really want to get, and all these kinds of things. So we will talk about that. Then we will talk about how professionals actually do it. And you will be surprised to see that it has a lot to do with sports, with high-level, high-performance sports. So what we've done is we have looked at two major aspects of negotiation. One is called silence. So silence is extremely important in negotiations, and I really made you exaggerate it a bit. It feels extremely uncomfortable, especially to the person who needs to do it, to do the job. So I can't see it now, but I mean, how many of you have really been silent in this? Have really not talked? It's very difficult. It has something to do with our mirroring neurons that we have in our brain. And it really has something to do with, if somebody asks us a question that we are educated people, we're going to answer back, right? And you are in the game, and the other one knows a lot about you, and it's all very friendly, but you haven't done the silence game then, okay? So there are three reasons why we do silence in negotiations. It's really to shock the other. So the other says, hey, what's going on here? You don't seem to be friendly. What's going on? But they are out of their comfort zone. And if they're out of their comfort zone, that's quite good for you, because that means they are stressed. And when they are stressed, they will not take perfect decisions. And it's not, screaming at them. It's just like playing little games with them. But there's something else as well in it. And it's really about observing the other. If you are silent, you can really observe the other, and you can really see how they react, how they tick, what's important to them. And you can listen to the other. You can really listen to what's their agenda, what's going on their part. So as you can see, I'm not talking a lot about you here. I'm much more talking about the other, because you really need to understand how the other one ticks. Extreme opening, on the other hand, is really about finding the right starting point. And in my group, I found it quite interesting, because first when I was helping out, hang on, I can't see you now. Where are you? Who was I with? I was with Javier, Freddie. Freddie, yeah. Freddie, you first said 5 with me. And when then Chen joined, you said 8. I was really offended by that you kind of went really extreme with me, but not so extreme with him. But it could have something to do with him being much more friendly to you than I was, right? Could be. But so the extremer you go, the more extreme you go, the more leeway you will have at the end to make concessions. So if you go really extreme, you can make a lot of concessions towards each other. If you don't go that, so let's say you just don't go that extreme, you just go up until here, and the other one goes really extreme. Guess which way you will be going? You'll be going into their direction, right? So this is why it is really important to exaggerate your going extreme. Then it's important to understand, or to kind of think about, so how much might a magical mood ring cost? Probably not more than €2 or something like that, or even less when it's bought in China, like most of that stuff is, or at least in Far East. So define their break point and understand, okay, maybe they want to have a margin on that. So maybe their break point will be €3-4, something like that. What is going to be my break point? Obviously the group I didn't give you that information. You needed to define your own break point and really understand which is the point, which are the points between which you can then negotiate. Okay. If you start too soft, as I said before, it ruins the rest. Because if you just start here and the other one goes extreme in the other direction, it ruins, because you will not want to make big concessions. Yeah. But the nice thing is you can start a rhythm of concessions. If both of you go really extreme, you can really make a concession, a bigger concession, right? And that psychologically does something to the other party. So I've now shared with you really two major aspects of negotiations. And the next time you negotiate, just try it out really consistently and committed, and you will see you'll get some results. Now my question is, could you just tell me what the price was at which you closed the deal? Maybe you can just shout it in.
56.50 for two.
56.50 for two. Wow. Okay.
15 for one.
Okay.
8 for one.
Somebody else? That was 3.
Soldering 9 for one.
Okay. And there must be another breakout room.
I sold 1 for 9.
You too. So you can see, I mean, the 56.50 I find really interesting. It looks like extreme opening. Or, well, no, actually it looks like lots of silence going on, maybe. What was going on in your room?
An extreme opening.
Ah, okay.
It charmed her and more or less created a different story, which she fall for about the ring. So I didn't talk to her about the 17.99. I just told her there is another one which is much more expensive.
That's not bad at all.
So it was cheeky, but she did extremely well.
Okay, great. But
so
you can
negotiated me down because I asked for far more.
Okay, there you go. So you can see how, so you can now imagine how much fun it must be at a bazaar, because you will get different kinds of results depending on how extreme you open up. And you can see that this must have been an extreme opening. Okay. Okay, but now we get to the point that is interesting, which is, so these were two aspects. There are many more, but it was just to tease you and to get you into the feeling of negotiating and maybe motivate you to do more. So let's talk about stress for a moment. Stress is really ancient and really useful, because in our evolution is one of the things that made us, arrive where we are at the moment. As soon as the body interprets an outside signal as negative, it reverts into stress mode. So it's what you all know about already, is the fight, flight, or freeze actually, that is happening. So if there is a bear, you need to decide really quickly if you fight him, flight him, or if you just maybe stand and hope he thinks you're a tree. Okay. So how is this going to help us in negotiations? Well, let's talk about the brain. What is happening in the brain and in your thought process when you are under stress is your thought process is going to be black and white. You will take decisions really, really quickly. You will have a negative interpretation of the environment because stress means you don't feel, your environment is not friendly. And you've got 3 major feelings, and then afterwards lots of different shades of them. So you'll feel afraid, then you will use the flight mode. You'll be angry, then you'll use the fight mode, or you'll feel helpless and you will just freeze. And when you are under stress, so when one of your partners, for example, or one of your siblings or your parents, or it's one of your friends, does something and exactly knows where to hit your button. I'm sure all of you have already, seen you react, because before you could even think about it. Yeah, there was just a reaction coming and you just reacted in a way. And really good negotiators will bank on that. They will really observe you. They will see where can they get you. They will get information about you so that they will make a hypothesis about how you are going to react. And obviously, they will also do it in a way to make you feel comfortable. They'll play lots of games with you. But the stress element is a very important one. Why? Because you will just think black and white. And your field of options is narrowed down, because all you needed to do in ancient times was to kind of survive. And then you don't need to go to the toilet or think about if you like your dress or what you're going to wear tomorrow or whatever. You'll just be very much focused on black or white. What do I do? Dum, dum, dum. Okay. Under stress, our body really throws out a lot of adrenaline. So you're really under adrenaline, which is really good when the stress lasts for a short period of time. But if you are permanently under stress, this runs your body down. Your decisions will not get better. Your thinking will not get better. And you'll actually get sick at some point. Yeah. And so there's no surprise why so many people from the age of 50 onwards, and maybe even just before, have problems with heart diseases, high blood pressure, and so on. Mostly is there was too much long-term stress they were under. Okay, there is something else, and that is basically something that leads us towards long-term performance. And that is another part of the brain. It's a much more recent part of the brain that we've got. And it's the kind of blooming part of the brain. And where you are then is your thought process is really creative. You take all time necessary to reach good decisions. You have a really resourceful interpretation of your environment. So what is happening to you, you will take it as something, you will welcome it and you will take it in. You will feel really open, well, happy, active. And there will be an element of trust that the right decision will come. So depending on where you are emotionally, yeah, whether you are in stress mode or in the green mode, you will take different decisions. So in this green mode, as I call it, endorphins will be thrown out. And basically endorphins are good for you. They are the happy hormones. And this is not a course on happiness. This is actually a course on a workshop on long-term performance. There might be a link between, the research on happiness and long-term performance. But it's really important to understand that if you want to perform well at long term, You don't get into the trap of thinking, oh, the more I'm busy, the more adrenaline I have, the better it will be. Yes, short term, and that short term might be 10 years or even 15 years. But at some point, it will not work anymore. Your body will be run down. For negotiations, I think it becomes really clear. You don't want to be in the red area, right? You want to be in the green one because you really want to be creative. You really don't want somebody to hit your buttons, and you really want to be free to take your decisions. Yeah, and to take the best decisions you can take. Okay. So the question is, how do professionals actually do it? They really decide to get into the zone. And what means the zone? And you might have heard about it. There are a lot of books about the flow of the zone and all these kinds of things. And as I'm a youth football coach, I have to do a lot with neuroathletics and neurosciences. And what you really do is, in your feelings, and you have to have discipline to do that, you get to a place of unlimited possibility. So instead of being in this place where your head turns around, you get into a place where you calm down a little bit and where you really allow actually just the hypothesis that everything is possible. And then you accept that all long-lasting negativity is a mental construction of your own. Now, this is a bitter pill to swallow for some of us who really think that it's really good to be angry and to be, anxious and all these kinds of things. I mean, there's an exception, mourning. So when somebody dies or you're in deep mourning, I'm not talking about this. But just to wake you all up, negative feelings like hatred, anger, anxiety, and so on, they are useful. So don't get me wrong, they are useful, but they're just useful like putting your hand on a hot stove. So you put it on. So how many of you will take it off, will leave it on more than maybe a split second? Not many. But this is what we have learned in our culture and society with bad feelings. We just think that bad feelings are great to have. No, they're not great to have. But as they are associated with adrenaline, and adrenaline can make you addicted, it has something to do with that as well. But people who are high-performing professionals in sports or negotiation, they know that, and they will make a conscious effort of saying, stop, I'm now in the red zone. I'm stopping now. I'll stop that now. And they take a break. And for example, I don't know how interested you guys are in tennis, but there were the French Open last week. And there was the quarterfinal between Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. So two of the, most magnificent players in the world. And Nadal won the first set, and then something happened in the second set and he lost it, although he was already up 3-0. And then he took a break. And I can't stress it enough how important it is to take a break when you're in the red zone. So when you're sad, when you're angry, when you are in victim mode, take a break, even from yourself, because this is what Rafael Nadal did. He went away, took a break, came back, and I assure you that the thing that he did was he did mental fitness. He really got back into his zone, and he just won the next 2 sets. So it's really important for you to allow yourself, even when you're in a negotiation, to take a break and to just say, okay, I'm taking a break now. And then in the break, really understand where you are and refocus yourself again. And then you have to practice the switch, as I call it. So it's already great when you know I'm in the red zone, I'm angry, I'm in hatred mode, I'm sad, I am anxious or afraid. Stop it. Just stop it. If you get out of this course, and that's all that you got from it, that you stop your negativity at that moment, that will change your life. I guarantee that already. If then you can make it possible for you to be in the green zone with your feelings, that is extremely helpful for your brain, because it will then throw out endorphins, and your brain will think differently. So your emotions really dictate how your brain will think. So it's not, I mean, you do whatever you want to do. If you want to be angry, but just know that you will not take good decisions. You'll take some decisions, but you will take better decisions if you are in the green zone. Okay. And in order to do that, actually, your brain has got muscles, and we've been brought up to really practice the adrenaline muscle of the brain. So doing things under stress and so on, you really have to build up this performance muscle, this long performance muscle. And I'll talk about it in a minute. So what are the secrets of how to get there? And that's really lessons in neuroscience. So the first thing you do is you focus on the inside of your body, and you do body awareness. And there are many, many exercises of how to do that. For example, you can just take your fingertips and rub them against each other. And that makes a difference when you don't keep on thinking, when you really go to the sensation of it. And why is that? Because you get out of one part of your brain and into the other part of the brain. You turn negative events in your life into gifts. Now, wouldn't it be great if you just started saying, you know, I missed the plane, this person just dumped me, I didn't get the job, but to really maybe say, so maybe it was the best that ever happened to me. And because maybe you missed your train, but you met your lover, your new lover. Maybe you didn't get that job because there was another job that was much better. So why am I talking about that? Because then you don't stay in your negative feelings for so long, okay? And you can't change many things anyway. So you can grump about it, but it doesn't really make a difference. Prepare well for important events. That's a key thing, and all professionals do that. So obviously all the facts and figures rationally, but also emotionally. So if you know that you'll be talking to a person that, you know, that knows how to hit your buttons, maybe get somebody with you. Don't do this negotiation on your own. Take somebody with you who can handle that person better. If you have to be on your own, try to maybe get some, the most simple thing is really to breathe. So every time you have the feeling, I'm getting anxious now, I'm getting afraid now, breathe. That's the easiest way of getting into your body, okay? But plan it, make sure, plan it that you are going to have a break, maybe after 5 or 10 minutes. Just plan it in and then do it also, stick to it. Very important, stop beating yourself up when you're failing. Everybody does it, and it's normal to fail. There's just a difference between two people. They're the ones that kind of get really you know, they really beat themselves up about failing, and they waste a lot of time. And there are the others that just get up, they fail, they get up, they do this, and they move on. So let's go into the next round. And really important, there is nothing like a neutral feeling. So next time you ask somebody, how do you feel? And they say, oh yeah, I feel neutral. It's not true. Either you feel positive or you feel negative. In your body, there is nothing like a neutral feeling. So any feeling has got a consequence. Either you go into the red corner or you go into the green corner. But please don't think that you can just say, yeah, I'm neutral on all of these things. No, you're not. Either you like them or you don't. There is nothing in between. And practice regularly. There are lots of ways of practicing this switch, and even of practicing to stop. And every time you have managed to stop a negative or red corner event for yourself, you just pat yourself on the shoulder. Okay. Right. So this was a bit of me talking. I hope you guys are still there, because everybody has kind of switched off their camera, which is kind of strange talking to people in the black sphere. But this is basically what I wanted to tell you. So I don't know if you've got some immediate questions or reactions to that. I'd be actually quite interested in hearing that.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So how would you advise when someone give you the sort of like neutral or not talkative look, and you want to engage in some negotiation. No?
So they just look at you and they don't say anything.
Correct.
Well, I had that before. I had somebody from Telecom come, because here in Düsseldorf, I don't know about where everyone is, but we get some fiber, internet, fiberglass, fiber cables. And I had somebody from the Telecom come here. And I obviously negotiated with him, and I told him what I wanted. And he did this. So I knew, okay, he's been on a negotiation course. He's practicing silence now, how to be silent. And I just waited. You just wait. That's it. Are you still there, Freddie?
Yes, it wouldn't come across like in our mock. Obviously, you are seller. Sellers tend to be more engaging, right? I just felt like you were not interested on selling at all. So
yeah, it was exactly my role, Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
It was exactly my role. So that was the role of the sellers. The role of the sellers was actually not so much what Chen did. I don't know, Chen, I don't know, did you read the briefing? Because I was a bit surprised, because Chen was talking all the time. And I was just thinking, Chen, you should be silent. You shouldn't talk at all, actually. But it is very...
Yeah, I only had 30 seconds to do everything.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. So Freddie, so Chen was really engaging, but this was not the exercise. The exercise was actually exactly you asking this question. So why didn't they talk? What was going on? Didn't they want to sell? So.
Yeah, which actually leads me to my question here, Julia.
Yeah.
What if time is not on your side? Like I remember I need to close the sales, and I had to do everything I could within 30 seconds to close the sale.
Time is really, so if you have an important negotiation to do, make sure you've got all time at your hand. I mean, we're not talking about, and not important magical mood ring now. I mean, I put you under this time pressure, and this will happen in many negotiation courses, because we want you to exactly feel that. I can tell you the party, so you've got two parties negotiating. The party who will say, oh, I got to go in 20 minutes, is the party who will not get the better deal. It's going to be the other party. The moment the other party knows that you are under time pressure, they will just, play with you. So the best is if you get into a really important negotiation, you are the one who has got all the time in the world.
So in my case, it's better not to close the deal at all.
Well, in that case, it was difficult because you were under time pressure, right? In your case, I mean, at the end, you said yes to was it 8? Right, it was 8, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. You might have said, well, sorry, 12. And Freddie might have had to say, okay, 12. You didn't exactly put him under the pressure of having to respond to your offer. Mm-hmm. You gave in, you were the one, you were the one who felt the time pressure more, or it seemed like it, than Freddie. So it's a game. It's a power game. Yeah. Who gives in first? And in this case, you did, because you just said, I need to close it down. He had that on his sheet as well. He had to close the deal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at things here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. More questions, comments? No?
I have one. What do you do when you realize that you are losing the negotiation, like during the negotiation?
You stop. I mean, again, it wasn't possible here, but it's to bring up these questions. You stop. Nobody said that you have to go that way. Okay. It could be that you say, I need to have a break. I really need to understand what's going on here, and you stop it. Nobody said that you have to close this deal. I mean, in this case,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
But just stop it, take a break. And you are also allowed to change your mind and to say something like, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I misread the price. It's really not, I'm sorry, I can't do it at that price. I can't. Okay. It's not possible. You can do that. You are not kind of, when you jumped on this train, you can get off the train, go to the station and get another train. Back.
You're not bound to your first offer if you realize that it's not the right one later in the negotiation.
It is more difficult, and you might have felt it, that you were like kind of on this train. It's difficult to do, and it's difficult to swim back, but it is possible. The only thing you have to do is stop.
Okay.
Stop. Really important 2 things. Stop, apologize. That's really important. And the other thing that I didn't put here, but that is important in negotiations, always thank the other if they made a concession. That's also really important. Yeah.
Thanks.
With pleasure. Some more questions?
I have a question. I have raised my hand.
Okay.
Yes, I came across 1 or 2 things during the negotiations. First, what was funny is that I said 70, which was misunderstood. I meant 17. So the first offer was 20. I should have said yes, but I was kind enough to say it's 17.99, and then the offer was 5. And it went on like this student discount. This was the argument, and actually someone played the victim, not wanted to be the victim, but I'm like, oh, I can't pay that much. You rip me off, give me a good price. And especially about what are the interests, because it's how can I sell this mood ring? One argument was, I don't want people to see my mood. So without even reading the instruction, it just came, just suddenly. It didn't even have 30 seconds. It just randomly. I didn't know how to, make that person be interested in this mood ring. All I could say is that, okay, you need a souvenir from this place. That's the best thing you can get from this place. And that's what I tried to say is like, how can I, create interest? I mean, eventually I sold it for 9, which was fine, but it's either, how can I say it? It's either you're really into these games and as you said, it's a waiting game, or it's a pressure game, or it's maybe an anchoring, like low and high price. And then we find a middle solution. Yeah. So, or it's about interest based. And the other is what I especially do is being kind to that person. Because in the end, a thank you costs you nothing. A good word costs you nothing. And a good experience costs you nothing to create, but selling it is actually the result of this. So you get real value back. So your thoughts on that and what I can do better, especially when someone's doing these tricks like student loan, playing the victim and asking for, why do I even need this? Thank you.
So basically, it is a magical mood ring and children love it. I mean, they're just over the moon. And the funny thing is, you can't find them all over Europe anymore. You can just find them here in this place because they're not being produced anymore. So that's your last chance. When you come back next year, the chances are there won't be any more. So that could be, so you create scarcity. Yeah, you create scarcity. You tell them that you know exactly what your client base looks like. It's the children. Who cares about if you don't want anybody to know in which mood you are? But the children, they love it. They just play with it all the time. So that would be one point. Being kind is people will just play with you all the time with being kind. I can tell you, they will feel it, they will sniff it. So if somebody is kind and really responds to the victim, they will keep on doing the victim. So the first thing is for you to understand, okay, they're doing the victim. Okay, here somebody does the victim. And then to understand, how do I react to the victim? What do I normally do? And you could turn it all around because you're so kind. You can actually put it in the way, I don't know how many of you know transactional analysis. It's a way of looking at relationships, and it's exactly, you know, one way that many people get around is that they just say, oh, please help me. Oh, I didn't know, and all these kinds of things. So it's playing the victim. And the way that you can maybe, Jamil, also from your natural tendency of being kind, respond to that, say, you know what? I take care of it. I tell you exactly how to do it. I put it into this really nice envelope. You will get it for even 17. So I let you €1 off or 1 off. And there is a little band on it, and there is a little bag for it. And there you go. So you kind of exaggerate it in a way that still feels comfortable for you. I mean, don't take the Mickey out of them, but, you know, you kind of exaggerate it, so that they have the feeling of, what am I? And mostly people then get out of their victim mode and they talk to you as an adult and they say, what was that about? And you just say, well, I just thought you needed my help. I can even call a taxi for you if you want to. Me too. Yeah. So you just exaggerate it. It could be one way. The other way could be that you just notice your tendency to be kind, and you just go into adult mode and you really try to address their adult inside of them and really talk to them. That might be difficult because some people are really good at playing the victim as a negotiation trade. Yeah, they're good negotiators. I heard in another course, that somebody they always send their mother. If they need anything done, they send their mother. Like with administration, it was something in Spain. They send their mother, and the mother gets all the papers, everything done. And I asked her, we talked about it, and she does it like that. Oh, you know, I don't know how to do it. The internet. Oh, I don't know. Oh. And so she really plays with this tendency of people to be nice. And I'm not telling you that you have to manipulate in that exaggerated way, but when you have big negotiations and you have got somebody in front of you who likes to play, you know, the godfather or the godmother and so on, maybe in order for them to feel comfortable, play a little bit back the part of the helpless one, you know, just say, oh, really? Could you maybe explain that to me? And they will feel comfortable, and you want them in their comfort zone at that moment, because then you know how to press their buttons. Okay, you've read them, and then maybe you can say, oh, could you please make maybe a better price for me as well? I really can't afford it. And then you have them, and you've turned it all around. Okay, does that make sense, Jamil? Is that helpful?
Yes, especially I got the idea that, oh, I have a boy in the morning, he's going to go on a school trip, so I can play the victim as well, and I need the money for him. So then it's like neutralized, and you should have something else to talk about. But the key is that the time was really limited, and you have to be really prepared.
Yeah, you have to be prepared. It's a short workshop. So in another environment, there would be more time to actually do these cases. But I thought it could be a good idea.
I saw another question in the chat, but may I just add one more question? Is how do I cope with the differences in let's say leverage, or in negotiation power? Because this vendor might be very experienced, because he does it like for years, and I'm just a tourist for a week there and I don't understand anything. I still have good chances of negotiating, but how you cope with this kind of unleveled leverage?
Okay, here you're probably in a really bad situation, because you're taking your plane tomorrow. It's the last one. They have got the power. You don't have much power. But normally there are two things you do. You really prepare well, so you know, so you shop around, you understand what the prices with the other vendors are. Some people, when they have important negotiations, they practice the negotiations with a competitor. They never want to contract with a competitor. They just go there to go through the motions of it and to understand it and to see what kind of price they get. So that's another thing. And then you really need to understand. So this is bazaar. This is a bazaar conversation. That's just basically the more the vendor gets, the higher the price, the more the vendor gets, and the less the tourist gets. I mean, the more the tourist has to pay. So it's a win-lose situation. The higher the price gets up, the more the vendor will win. The lower the price will go, the more the vendor will lose. This is these negotiations happen, of course, but normally we could have also talked about maybe selling a painting, a beautiful painting, and make it more complex. So you could have sold the painting like that, or you roll it up, or maybe they want to have how do you call it, something around it, yeah, un quadro, something like that. You could talk about shipment. You could talk about maybe a printing of it. So the more elements you introduce into your negotiation, the more you'll be able to kind of water down the leverage that somebody else has. And what you always have to find out is what is important to them. So it might be that the vendor has a lot of power, but then you will talk about payment conditions, and you might find out that they need the money urgently. Bingo. So they are under time pressure of getting the money. So now you are in a stronger position because you might be able to give them the money, cash on the hand, but then you will ask, obviously, for some of their power back. So the more elements you can find and the more you can understand what is important to them and what their priorities are, the more you can play with the power. Okay. Normally, when you negotiate, when you have really complex negotiations, it means, so the moment that somebody sits down at a table with you, they will want something from you. And you really need to understand what is it exactly that they want from you. So does the telecom guy really want to close the deal with me, and is the price important, or is it important that he closes the deal now because maybe his bonus is capped at June, and this is why he needs to really close the deal now? They will always have something, some agenda behind, and this is what you need to find out. What is their agenda? And then you can play the power game, because you will always find something that you can offer really quickly, like, for example, like the payment, the cash payment, that is of no value to you because you just have the money, but it's of extreme value to the other party. So you have kind of a, high value for them, low value for you. And you have to watch out for these kinds of things. So what do they want? What is of high value to them and of low value to me? And then you obviously give it at a higher price than the value that you feel for it. I hope that was clear. Yeah. There was another question in the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to read that aloud for you, Julia. Then let's make that the last question, I would say, just because of the time. So it comes from Varsha, is her second question, actually. Is it looked down, up, if you play the victim in the negotiations, especially in professional settings?
Say that again. Down upon. No, I worked with a company who is in the field of modern energy, so wind parks, photovoltaic, and all this kind of stuff, and they're in Spain. And so we did this course with them, this workshop, several day workshop, and it was like spread over several months. And at some point, so we had discussed exactly the victim thing, and then one of the associates of that firm, he said, I spotted it. There was this lady and she was playing the victim game, and now I could spot it. And it's just something when you can spot it, and professional negotiators will spot it. But you might not spot it, because if they do it really well, I mean, imagine you've got an old lady sitting there and they're doing, and she doesn't know how to use the internet. And you suddenly have the feeling of, oh, I'm much more powerful than they are. It's a typical, I don't want to, it's a cliche, but this is a female game. In the older days, it was the female game. It's like everybody should think that I don't know how to do things. Okay, I have no idea how to do these things. So that the other party has the feeling, oh, I'm in power. And that moment when the other party feels like in power and I'm just strong and so on, they are not aware anymore, because they just think they can do everything. And this is where then an old lady, will pull the strings and will exactly say what needs to be done, so that she kind of nudges the other person into doing what they want them to do. So Varsha, no, it's fine. It's not looked down upon at all. It's actually a very useful way of negotiating. And if you do it very subtly, it works really well, because everybody wants to feel that they are needed, and everybody wants to feel kind. So it's a good thing. Just be careful if they spot you,
Okay, I see. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Great. So we're almost at the end. There is something that I would like to, I don't know, maybe my screen has frozen. Let's see. Actually, there's another case, and it's called Tutti Frutti. If you are up for it, and I have no idea what time it is, you could negotiate another case and practice some more. But I leave it up to you as a group how you feel about it. It's going to be quick. It's going to be set up in the same way. So we will do group A and B. There will be a short briefing, and then you will negotiate for 5 minutes. And are you guys okay? Just basically to tell you one important thing, the last important thing for tonight. So the most important feedback is the one you give comparing yourself over time. So what that means is, whenever you now do negotiation, don't compare yourself to, the gods of negotiation. I mean, they can inspire you and you can aspire to go there. But in terms of feedback, just see how you're advancing over time, and you'll have a lot of fun with yourself, and you'll see the results actually of applying this. So the questions, we have done it. So thank you very much. Thank you for this very enjoyable, at least for me, evening. I hope you got a little bit out of it. Each one maybe another thing. And if anybody wants to get feedback, just let me know. Send it either to Anna or to Lisa or to myself, so whichever way. What is the best, Anna, Lisa? Lissy, is it the best that they send it to you and you send it to me?
Yeah, that works. I mean, your email address is here, right? So people are seeing that. Is that okay if they do send directly to you?
Absolutely.
There you are. Then I think this is easier. And if what we can do as well, we are going to add also the email address from Women Leading Forward. So you guys feel free, if you're going to send to Julia, you can add us on CC. So if anything goes wrong, we are aware.
Okay. So as I said, thank you very much. I'm conscious of time. It's 9:15. So I really enjoyed that. I hope you got a little bit out of it, and I wish you all the best for your next negotiations.
Thank you so much, Julia. We absolutely had a lot of fun. I love it seeing how people were actually participating and interacting with you. That was for sure what we really call a hands-on workshop. That was a lovely opportunity. We appreciate that. And before everyone go, I actually have 2 more questions on my Mentimeter to kind of understand how did you feel with Julia teaching today. And there is another code, so please go there. And I'm going to open this right now. And maybe this time I do share so you guys see what is coming here.
Yeah.
All right. There you are. So the first question is if you actually do feel more confident after attending this workshop to go in a negotiation. And Anna, if you can just, while we are waiting here for more answers to come, to share our email with people. So when they are going to send the video to Julia, they can add us on system. Thank you so much. All right, so far 6 people answering, 7 answer that yes, you do feel more confident. That's great. I'm very happy to know. And I will go ahead and now present my second question. Is just if you can actually type one word or even a little phrase, what is the most important thing you have learned tonight on the topic of negotiation? Silence, absolutely. What is it to play a victim? Silence. You need to create the balance of power to even play the game or even have lost already. More radical start strategies. Yes. Understand basics of how we react to stressful situations, how to prepare better for negotiations. Stop, red and green zones. Silence 3 times. Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing. That helped us as well. We are very pleased to know that the workshop from Julia was something that you actually learned with. Myself, I absolutely learned. Silence is one of the most outstanding words I had tonight. And thank you very much for everyone who joined. If you would like to share the video with Julia, you had her email there. Also, Women Leading Forward email is here. Send the videos there. And we see you all on the next workshop. Have a lovely evening. Take care.